Hello and good day to you. My name is Helga Leineweber. I work as a junior professor at Münster University at the Institute of Sport Science. Together with my colleagues from the German Sport University in Cologne, I investigated the current status of digital competencies in physical education teacher-educators, as well as their efforts to pass on these digital competencies in their university lectures, in their seminars, and in their practical sport courses. The aim of our study was to identify needs for further qualification of lecturers, as well as for further development of the curricula in teacher education. The starting point of our research was the finding that extensive competencies in dealing with an increasingly digitalized world are already relevant for children and young people. It cannot be assumed that young people pick up all these competencies just by the way. Even though they can be referred to as digital natives, it is necessary that they are supported in developing a conscious, mature, and critical use of digital media. This also applies to the subject of PE, and thus is also a task that PE teachers have to complete, not least because the shaping of bodies, the ideals of beauty or fitness recommendations that are spread via social media are closely related to PE and should be the subject of discussion in lessons. So this is something we have to give a basis to our future teachers. Based on an orientation framework for teachers in a digitalized world, in combination with relevant competency models, we developed a seven-fold theoretical structure of relevant targets of digital competencies. This served as a basic structure for our survey instrument. And with regard to the theoretical background and our research interest, we formulated the following two guiding questions for our research. First of all, to what extent are teacher-educators able to address the digital learning target areas required in the context of student competency acquisition in their teaching? And second, to what extent are the identified target areas already addressed in university teaching? In a full survey of the teaching staff in the different teacher education programs at GSU Cologne, we reached out to more than 100 colleagues via online self-assessment questionnaires. We had a return rate of about 41%, which is equivalent to a total number of 45 completed questionnaires. The results regarding our first question show rather low confidence in digital literacy teaching skills among teacher educators on average. Especially weak, digital teaching skills become clear in legal aspects, but also in searching, storing, and using of data, as well as operating hardware and using software. More than 50% of the study participants do not, or only to a small extent, feel able to achieve digital learning targets. On the other hand, learning targets such as producing and presenting, as well as communicating and collaborating, which are sort of our daily bread in teaching, reach rather higher approval, around 60% each. As a result of the pandemic, it does not really seem astonishing that teacher educators stated the highest rates of ability in digital teaching and learning. Distance learning has acted as a kind of catapult there, one might assume. Regarding the second question, with regard to the learning objectives addressed in teaching, the results regarding the different study programs and different course offerings, one can summarize that learning target areas are only taken into account to a small extent throughout all offerings. Yet one should take into account that all the data, or that the data are characterized by a quite high degree of dispersion. So Based on our findings, we were able to take some steps to ensure a stronger consideration of digital competencies in the teacher education programs. On the one hand, a process of curriculum revision was initiated. This included, for example, the modification of learning objectives in our course handbooks. And on the other hand, we also began to establish internal exchange and peer teaching formats, as well as external training offerings. Yet, we are in a process of discussing several ambivalent issues arising from our findings. One I would like to mention in this sense in particular is the question of subject specificity. With respect to our results, as well as subsequent discussions with peers and theoretical modeling, a sports-related model of digital competencies could serve as an orientation and as a helpful frame for a more precise determination of digital learning targets in PETE. So I hope this gives you something to think about. Thank you very much for your interest. If you have any questions, please feel free to download a PDF version of this poster and contact me. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.